Admiral Korvac's six eyes narrowed as he studied the tactical display aboard his flagship, Imperial Devastator. The massive dreadnought, stretching nearly 3 kilometers in length, led a fleet of 200 vessels, the largest armada the Xarian Empire had ever assembled. Their target, a single, outdated human vessel drifting in the void like space debris. "That's it?" Commander Vex Hall hissed through his serpentine vocal cords, his scaled green hide rippling with disdain. The human's last desperate gambit is an ancient hulk that looks like it was built in a scrapyard? The ship in question defied conventional military aesthetics, where Imperial vessels gleamed with polished armor and elegant curves. This human craft appeared cobbled together from salvaged parts. Its hull was a patchwork of different metals, scarred and weathered. Irregular protrusions jutted from its surface, like mechanical tumors, and its asymmetrical design violated every principle of naval architecture the Empire held sacred. Intelligence reports designate it as UES Prometheus. Tactical Officer Yilmoth reported, her forearms dancing across holographic interfaces. Classification: experimental prototype. Construction began 43 Earth years ago, then abandoned when their government deemed it too expensive and impractical. Korvac's mandibles clicked in amusement. Humans were notorious for their inefficiency and bureaucratic incompetence. While the Xarian Empire had conquered 47 star systems through superior technology and tactical brilliance, Earth species remained trapped in their pathetic single-system existence, constantly bickering among themselves. "Life signs aboard the human vessel?" he inquired. "Minimal crew, sir. Perhaps 50 organic signatures. The ship appears to be mostly automated. 50 humans against an armada of 30,000 Imperial warriors." Korvac almost felt sorry for them. Almost. "Open a channel," he commanded. "Let's offer them the dignity of surrender before we vaporize them." The view screen flickered to life, revealing the bridge of the human vessel. It was cramped, utilitarian, with exposed conduits and flickering screens. At its center stood a human female in a worn uniform, her graying hair pulled back severely. She looked tired, older than the typical military officer, but her eyes burned with quiet determination. "I am Admiral Elena Vasquez of the United Earth ship Prometheus," she said without preamble. "You're trespassing in Sol System." Korvac's laughter boomed across the bridge. "Trespassing? Child, this system now belongs to the Xarian Empire. Earth's pitiful defenses have already been neutralized. Your pathetic fleet is space dust, your orbital stations captured or destroyed. You are alone." Admiral Vasquez's expression didn't change. "We'll see about that. You face 200 Imperial warships with technology centuries ahead of your primitive civilization," Korvac continued. "Surrender now, and I may allow your crew to live as slaves." "Counteroffer," Vasquez replied calmly. "Turn around and leave Sol System. This is your only warning." The audacity struck Korvac speechless for a moment. Then rage flooded through his nervous system, causing his exoskeleton to flush deep purple. "Destroy them. All weapons, maximum yield." The Imperial Armada opened fire simultaneously. 200 ships unleashed their full arsenal: plasma cannons, quantum torpedoes, disruptor beams, and singularity missiles. The combined firepower could have cracked a moon. The energy barrage struck the Prometheus dead center, engulfing it in a brilliant explosion that temporarily overloaded the fleet's visual sensors. When the light faded, Korvac expected to see empty space and drifting debris. Instead, the human ship sat exactly where it had been, completely unharmed. "Impossible," Vex Hall whispered. "Our sensors show no defensive shields, no energy barriers." "How, sir?" Yilmoth's voice cracked with panic. "The human vessel. It's charging weapons." "What weapons?" Korvac demanded. Scans show minimal armament. On the view screen, Admiral Vasquez smiled for the first time. You never bothered to ask why we abandoned this prototype, did you? It wasn't the construction costs. It was the weapon system. Our government decided it was too dangerous to exist. Strange energy patterns began emanating from the Prometheus's mismatched hull sections. The irregular protrusions weren't design flaws. They were components of something vast and terrible. Quantum fields fluctuated as exotic matter began cycling through incomprehensible configurations. The Prometheus was designed around a single weapon system, Vasquez continued conversationally. We called it the reality displacement engine. It doesn't fire projectiles or energy beams. It simply changes the local laws of physics. Korvac felt his blood freeze. That's impossible. You can't alter fundamental forces. Turns out we can. We just never figured out how to make it cost-effective. Until today. Vasquez's smile widened. Firing in 3, 2, 1. The universe hiccuped. Reality rippled outward from the Prometheus in expanding waves. As the distortion field passed through the Imperial fleet, ships simply stopped being ships. The elegant curves of Imperial hulls twisted into impossible geometries. The fusion reactors that powered their vessels began operating on principles that no longer applied, causing them to fail catastrophically. Admiral Korvac watched in horror as his mighty flagship folded in on itself like origami made of spacetime. The Imperial Devastator's 3-kilometer bulk compressed into a perfect sphere, then stretched into a ribbon of exotic matter before finally winking out of existence entirely. Throughout the fleet, similar impossibilities played out. Some ships found themselves experiencing time backwards, their weapons fire returning to their barrels. Others discovered that up and down had switched places, sending their crews tumbling through corridors that were now vertical. A few vessels simply forgot how to be made of matter and dispersed into clouds of probability. Within 30 seconds, the most powerful armada in galactic history had been reduced to empty space and confused quantum signatures. What have you done? Korvac screamed from his compression sphere, his voice somehow still transmitting despite occupying negative space. Homework, Admiral Vasquez replied matter-of-factly. While your empire was conquering primitive worlds, our inefficient bureaucracy was asking dangerous questions about the nature of reality itself. Turns out that 43 years of research into weapons too expensive to build pays off when you really need it. As the distortion field completed its sweep, the Prometheus stood alone in space, where moments before an entire armada had threatened Earth's existence. The prototype warship, ugly and improvised, had proven that sometimes the most powerful weapons weren't the ones that looked the most impressive. Admiral Vasquez activated the general comm system, broadcasting on all frequencies. This is Earth command to any surviving Xerion forces. Your empire just learned why humans don't build pretty warships. We build effective ones. Now get out of our system before we decide to find out what happens when we turn this thing up to 11. In the silence that followed, broken only by the quantum echoes of an obliterated fleet, the universe slowly remembered how to behave normally. The Prometheus drifted serenely through space, its hull still patched and ugly, its crew still numbering only 50. But now everyone in the galaxy would know Earth's ignored prototype had just rewritten the rules of warfare itself.